All right, welcome into another Unbearable podcast. Today we're just going to be picking some football games and talking the NFL. How you doing, Drew?
Pretty good. How was your day? I know you just said you just got off work. How have you been doing today?
Yeah, it's Wednesday afternoon. I just got off work and I kind of forgot that I had a class at 4 o'clock, but here I am talking football instead. So hopefully my women's studies professor doesn't watch my podcast because I blew that off.
Yeah, it's like a long-term thinking decision. You're thinking big picture here, choosing this instead.
All right.
But yeah, you guys seem to really enjoy these like picks episodes so far. I think like pretty much. I think there are two most viewed videos actually. So.
Well, our first one was, but then yeah, these would go. Last week was huge, but I think it's because we had a huge guest on. So
yeah, people love some Big Mike, I guess.
Today we got another guest, and it's actually someone I would say, if you and I have talked a lot of football, but if we were to add like a third person in who we've talked football with the most, it might be this guest.
Really? I mean, he's up there for sure, but there's someone that we might have on later in the week that I would probably put higher than this person.
I don't know
if it was like a full-time thing.
We've been friends with this guy for 5 years, and we've
That's
always
true.
talked like our friendship is built off football.
That is true. The old Pro Bowl picking days.
that memory. That's that memory. That's why I was like, I want to have him on. You just pick Pro Bowlers in class, but no.
It's too bad they're not having the Pro Bowl this year. We could have done that on here. We could have had like a Pro Bowl picks episode.
That's the thing. Hey, just when the season over doesn't mean content's done. We're gonna be talking.
Oh no, off-season news, all sorts of the draft picks
before the season starts, hyping up fantasy. Who knows? We might talk some White Sox.
Yeah, to make some big moves.
We could talk UFC. We could talk about how bullshit it is that the fights are at 1 o'clock this weekend instead of at night.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. That kind of makes me. I mean, the big fight feel. I mean, when I want to watch this main event, it's like, okay, that's the conclusion. Main event's gonna be over. It's gonna be like 5 or 6 p.m. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
All right. Let's bring in our guest.
Let's bring him in.
Hold on. Before we bring him in, there's something I want to address.
Okay.
From now on, we're going to be keeping track of our picks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The first week we weren't so hot. I went 5-7, and you went 4-8. But then last week, week 6, I went 10-4. You went 10-4. We didn't pick the same games. There was like a difference there. Mike went 9-5.
And that's picking spreads. If you can go 10-4 picking spreads, that's pretty good.
We were pretty much spot on. We had a pulse of who's going to win what game, but we went 10-4, picking spreads all time. I'm 15-11. You're 14-12. Big Mike's 9-5. And this guest coming on right now, he's going to pick the games with us, and he's going to be on that leaderboard next week. So let's bring him in. Round of applause for our next guest. He's a huge guest, Carl T. Liza III.
Let's get weird.
Carl. Oh, he's connecting to the audio. Carl, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah, I think you need to speak up a little bit. You sound
or move your laptop or whatever you're using closer. It's hard to hear you.
Hello?
It's better. A little bit closer. Did you say anything?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Carl, your sound quality is terrible, bro.
It's an old computer.
Do you have like a microphone?
Do you have a cell phone you could use?
Dude, we might have to start this whole podcast over.
No, we could just edit out Carl and then re-bring him in.
Oh, you guys already started?
Yeah, we just introed you. We hyped you up, and
you're disappointing.
Let me know any of this.
You came into a round of applause and everything.
Yeah, I don't know if we could repeat that same energy.
Oh wow.
Drew and I talked for like 10 minutes, and it's gonna be hard to recreate now.
Just edit his part out.
All right, you know what? Well, he gets ready. I think we'll just keep it. It happens. I mean, in this podcast, we don't edit it. This is real talk.
So okay.
We'll just start.
Well, Carl's going through his woes. I guess we'll start picking the games.
Yep.
I know Carl had a dial-up computer.
I mean, what can you expect from the guy?
It's pretty old.
I expect nothing less.
Wow. Can you hear me?
No, it's fine. They'll just have to listen at full blast.
Okay.
All right. So the can't lose parlay did lose last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to Aaron Rodgers. I was about to say something.
Discount double check that can't lose parlay.
Yeah. Hey, we got another one this week though, and this one is a can't lose parlay. You can guarantee it.
Okay.
The first game we have here is Thursday Night Football. Giants at the Eagles. Giants are getting plus 4.5. Drew, what do you think about that?
I'm gonna take Philadelphia in this game. They're getting back Deshaun Jackson, but it seems like every time they lose someone or get someone back, they're losing someone. So now Zach Ertz is out, but they're getting Deshaun Jackson back. But going vertical for them has kind of been a problem, and I think getting Deshaun Jackson back will help. And the Giants, they're just not good at all. So Philadelphia, the talent should prevail there, and I think they'll cover the 4.5.
Carl?
I'm actually gonna take the Giants.
Any
Because
specific reason?
they looked pretty good last week, and then Philly, they're banged up, man. They got like 10 people that might miss this game. So I'm gonna give it to Danny Dimes, and hopefully he'll. Am I getting the 4.5? Or
Yeah.
then definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Also, Carl, I don't know if you made any adjustments, but you sound much louder and clearer now, like right now.
Oh,
You
thank you.
You sound a lot better, but also sounds like something's about to blow up. There's like a buzzing. Don't worry about it. You sound.
It's not worth it. Okay.
Okay.
But what about your pick for that game, Voss? What are you thinking?
I'm actually gonna side with Drew. I know it sounds like I always side with Drew, but this is what I was gonna pick. I think the Eagles are just the better team, and I mean the Giants are right there with the Jets for being one of the worst teams in the NFL. Um, here's a little. It's not my stat. I saw this on Twitter, but Carson Wentz on Thursday Night Football is 4-0 against the spread, and he's also just 4-0, outright. So I think the Eagles should win this one. And I don't know if you can see it here pulled up on my screen, but the Eagles win this one. Are they at the top of the NFC East at 2-4-1?
Yeah, they would.
I think so.
Yeah, the Eagles' offense clearly better than the Giants' offense, and that's even without one game. Or no, that's the same. But yeah, I'm taking the Eagles all day. They're going to easily cover the 4.5.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, the Giants, they're not going to go down quietly.
Carl, that is the most Carl take I've ever heard. If I heard a Carl take, so I'm not gonna really buy into it too much.
Wow. Okay.
All right, next we got Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are getting plus 3.5. Carl, what do you think of this one?
I think Cleveland had a bad game last week, so I think they're gonna turn around and do well, and they're gonna cover the spread, and they're gonna beat Cincinnati.
Sure.
I'd have to agree. I think Cleveland. Baker Mayfield said, I think it was maybe earlier today. He said 4-2 has never felt so much like 0-6, and I would think that gives off the energy and what this team really believes they could do. So they're not going to go into Cincinnati and lose to a team that's not as good as them, especially after getting embarrassed last week. I like Cleveland a lot in this game.
All right, this one, instead of picking with my brain, I think I'm going to pick with my heart. The Browns, they've been so hot, and then they've been so cold. Like, they're destined for like an 8-8 season because that's what they deserve because their highs have been so high and their lows have been so low. And I know the Bengals lost last week, but they put up a good fight against the Colts defense. I mean, they were up 21-0, and the Colts defense, I mean, it's a good defense. I mean, later in the game, they don't have that finishing power yet, but I'm going to take the plus 3.5, especially in a division battle. I think this game's going to be closer than everyone thinks.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I would love for Cincinnati to win, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Next, we got the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington football team. We got a pick'em game here. Drew, what do you think?
So I was originally going to go with this game as my pick of the week, but there's one game I like just a little bit more. So this would be 1B pick of the week. And as much as it's crazy to say, the way they've been playing, Dallas all the way. Washington, I understand Dallas' defense is completely horrible, but Washington has little to no vertical threat, little to no run game. And I feel like if there's one team that's not going to be able to take advantage of Dallas's terrible defense, it's going to be Washington. So in just a straight pick 'em, I really like the Cowboys here.
Carl?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd love for Washington to pick up a win here because Dallas is going into rebuild mode. But I agree with Drew. Washington's not going to be able to take advantage of the Cowboys' demise right now.
I'm taking the Washington football team. I think the Dallas Cowboys are an absolute dumpster fire. I think Mike McCarthy should have never came back to coaching. I think that this is going to be a one and done year for him. Andy Dalton, good guy it seems like, but he just looked terrible last week, and that wasn't like he just came in to play. He had a whole week for prep. Washington football team, I think they got the better coach in Ron Rivera, and I don't think that. I mean, Terry McLaurin, he's a good wide receiver, and Antonio Gibson, he's a good receiving back. And the Cowboys secondary is atrocious. So, give me the Washington football team all day, especially with Chase Young on that defensive line, and Zeke having trouble running the football. I just think the Washington football team's got more hype about them than the Dallas Cowboys do right now. Next, we got the Detroit Lions, Atlanta Falcons. The Lions getting 2.5. This is an interesting one.
Yeah, this is. Oh, so you can go first, Carl. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm taking Atlanta by a landslide. You can give Detroit 10.5.
So is this your pick of the week, Carl?
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
Atlanta, ever since firing Dan Quinn, the one game, they're not looking back. I'm not gonna say they're gonna push for a playoff spot, but they're definitely not gonna stay around what they are right now.
So you're buying into some Atlanta stock. You think they could really bounce back?
Not completely bounce back, but they can end with like a 7-9 record or like maybe an 8-8. But they're gonna destroy Detroit.
So do you think Dan Quinn's like that stooge Adam Gase, and he just holds offensive players back, and once he's gone, they just flourish?
Yeah, because they weren't using Julio at all the first 5 games. And the first game that Dan Quinn is out, Julio goes off. That's not a coincidence.
He's now probably fully healthy, though, too. He
had been dealing with some injuries.
But you would still give Julio the ball if he's on the field.
All right, Drew, I'm going to pick this one before you. I'm going to take the Lions, especially because I'm getting plus 2.5. I saw your reaction.
Carl's not happy with that pick.
Whatever you pick, I'm just telling you, I'm picking the opposite. Okay. And that's you text me throughout the week. You're like, hey, I just put $200 on Cole Kmet getting a touchdown.
I put $100
Who does that?
Down. Guess what?
I mean, it worked though.
Yeah, but Cole Kmet has 2 catches in the year. You are irresponsible with the way you bet, and you need to learn a lesson.
I had heart, man.
You're also irresponsible with your money at a strip club. You did not.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
This is going on. This is going over the line.
Whoa.
All right, let's get back to football.
Whoa. What is that?
Oh, one more of his betting. I put $50 on the Cardinals Monday night, and Carl goes, I don't know about that one. Dude, it wasn't even close.
Well, come on. You didn't know how it was going to go.
Oh, I knew it. I just called Dallas a dumpster fire. Look, I think Detroit Lions, they're starting to get things going a little bit. I mean, they're trying to right the ship, and I think this game is going to tell us a lot if they have righted that ship or they're just spinning out of control. I know Atlanta put up a ton of points last week, but I just got a feeling about Detroit, especially if I'm getting points. Drew?
At the end of the day, what it basically comes down to is these are probably 2 of the most embarrassing franchises in the history of the NFL. I mean, Lions and Falcons, they're both just known for choking leads and blowing games. So this could just be just an atrocious game to watch. But I am one that thinks talent flourishes, and usually talent comes out on top. And I think Atlanta is the more talented team, so I think they'll win and cover.
You could have said Atlanta was the more talented team when we played them too, but actually, I don't think they are that much more talented. They got Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. Who else?
Ridley's good, but that's all they got is them 3, really.
3 guys.
Gurley's kind of old news.
I mean, he's only 27?
Yeah, but that's like 48 in running back years.
He got bum knees, though.
All right, we spent a while on this game. Let's go to the Panthers Saints. Panthers getting plus 7.5.
I really like the Panthers getting 7.5. New Orleans, they haven't looked that like they're obviously a good team, but they haven't looked like themselves over the last few years this year. Carolina's tough. I think we found that out just this week when they played the Bears. So Carolina getting over a touchdown, I like that, and I would take them.
Yeah, I would take Carolina. I would take them straight up on the money line, not even the spread.
Wow.
All right,
I'm more of a money line guy.
who did the Saints play last? I know last week they had a
The
bye.
Chargers went to overtime, and they should have lost.
That's what I was thinking. I got confused between the Seattle and the Minnesota game and then the Chargers Saints game. I don't think the Saints looked too good in that game. Although they did have a bye, so they had a whole week to prepare for the Panthers. And it is a division game, so I'd like to think they'd keep it close. I'm going to take the Panthers plus 7.5 because I don't think the Saints are winning by a touchdown and more, but I think it's going to be a close battle.
Is that the first one we've all taken? The same?
I think so.
I actually got the Panthers plus 7.5 in another bet, so I'll show those at the end of the show. All right, this game, okay, this can't be your lock of the week, okay?
No, it's not. It'd be too easy to just pick against the Jets for my pick of the week every week. But that being said, I think if you want my opinion on this game, just listen to any other episode. Never pick the Jets ever, no matter what the spread is. Buffalo minus 13.5. You got to take that.
Yeah, do we have to talk about this one? I think we're all taking Buffalo minus 13.
I did put a bet down for $50 for the Jets to go 0-16. So
I think it's a good bet.
All right. Next we got Packers, Texans. Texans getting 4 in this matchup.
Now, this is my pick of the week. Green Bay just got embarrassed. And Aaron Rodgers, when he's pissed, when he's mad, he takes it to a new level. And I think that's what's going to happen in this game. Packers minus 4, pick of the week.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take Packers and 4 as well, or minus 4.
Look, the Packers are 5-1. Okay, like we can't say all. It feels like because they were 5-0, we thought they were invincible, and now that they had a loss, you're like, oh, maybe the Packers aren't who we thought they were. They're 5-1. And Aaron Rodgers actually said to the media, he said maybe the team needed a kick in the ass. He goes, maybe we're getting a little cocky, and maybe we need to know, like, hey, we're not all that. We got to go out there and play ball. I'm taking the Packers minus 4, especially but I think this game's going to be a shootout because the Texans, even though they're terrible, Deshaun Watson's still trying to put up points and get things going. They have looked a lot better since they fired Bill O'Brien, but I don't think they have it in them to have a close game with the Packers.
Not at all.
Next, we got Steelers, Titans. Steelers getting +1. This could be, I think maybe not the lock of the week, but like the game of the week.
Best game of the week, yeah.
It's definitely going to be the best game.
I would go Pittsburgh, and I'm taking Pittsburgh because the Titans, their strength is obviously running the football with Derrick Henry, and Pittsburgh has the number 1 run defense in the NFL. So I think on paper, this is a bad matchup for Tennessee. So that's basically my main reason for picking Pittsburgh is just I don't think Derrick Henry is going to be able to get off the way he normally does on their defensive line.
Let me ask you this. Devin Bush is out for the year.
Yeah.
And that was just last game. So the Steelers might not have an actual game plan or replacement for him at middle linebacker. You still think that they're going to be able to stop the run?
Yeah, I think the Pittsburgh's defensive line is good enough with Tuitt and Watt, who plays. He's more of a linebacker, but he's also very good against the run. And I just think they're going to not let Derrick Henry get any explosive plays. And I'm still one of those people, as good as Tannehill has been, I don't 100% trust Ryan Tannehill yet. But if he goes out there and balls out this game, that could really change my opinion of him.
Carl?
If it was on me, I would not bet on this game. But I would take, if I had to, I'd take Pittsburgh because they've shown more. Like they know how to win in tough games. You haven't really seen that from Tennessee except for last week when they went to overtime.
They were in the AFC Championship game last year, Carl.
I know that. But
you just set me up, okay? And I feel like on this episode, I am coming out with a lot of like firm takes, and I'm like being very, not. Oh, I don't know. Like I'm on my picks, and I'm picking the Titans in this one. You just said I don't think they've shown us enough. I think of the opposite. I think last year they were in the AFC Championship game, and everyone's like, this is kind of odd. But I think this year, the way they played, they've definitely backed up. Like they looked like they deserved to be in that AFC Championship game, especially after last week when they had a win in overtime and Drew, you said Ryan Tannehill hasn't done it for you. Ryan Tannehill, they wouldn't have won that game if it wasn't for him last week. I know
Derrick Henry had like 215 rushing yards.
Yeah, but also, I mean, Tannehill's got to be able to be the game manager. You can't mess it up. I'm taking the Titans. I just really I think the Steelers are a great defense, but Devin Bush is an injury. You can't be understated. They're gonna have trouble getting a new defensive game plan to stop the run, especially with Derrick Henry back there.
Oh, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee won, but
Well, yeah, that's what we said. It's probably going to be game of the week.
That's why it's plus one, -1. Like it's a close game.
That's going to be a good game. Since the Bears aren't playing on Sunday, that's probably going to be the game I watch, like, primarily. That's going to be good.
All right, next we got the Cardinals getting 3.5 against the Seahawks. Carl, I want to hear you first.
it's another tough game. But I'm probably going to take Seattle in the -3.5.
Drew?
I don't think it's as tough as Carl says. I think this is – I mean, you see it all the time in the NFL. This is an emerging team in Arizona versus a team that's already a top team in Seattle. And I think Arizona's going to figure out this game that they're still a few pieces away from being a Seattle. I think Seattle beats them pretty bad here. So only getting 3.5 is, I think, a really good pick.
I'm actually going to take the Cardinals plus 3.5. The Cardinals beat the Seahawks last year, and they weren't even as good as a team, as they are now. And I think last week against the Cowboys was a get-right game for the Cardinals, and especially, I mean, they look good. It wasn't even close with the Cowboys. The Seahawks, I'm just thinking of the last time I seen them play. Did they play this past weekend?
No.
Yeah,
I think they were on a bye, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
Last time they played was on Sunday Night Football against Minnesota, and they barely edged out Minnesota. And I don't think Minnesota's a good team at all. I'm just thinking the Cardinals have a lot of momentum, especially after that Monday night victory, and I'm going to take them plus 3.5. I wouldn't be surprised if they went outright.
Well, you're talking about the MVP, Wilson.
I do.
Mr. Unlimited.
You should be the MVP. I think that they definitely are the best team in the NFC right now, but I just like the Cardinals. Getting the points. I don't even know if they'll win, but all right, this is another good game. It's got the 49ers +2, Patriots -2. What do you guys think?
I'm going to take San Francisco +2. I'm honestly surprised they're underdogs in this game after what they did to the Rams. No disrespect to Cam Newton and the Patriots, but they just don't have any real weapons. I mean, their top weapon is probably Edelman or Burkhead, and those aren't like great pieces around Cam Newton. So I think the way 49ers play defense, those guys like Burkhead and Edelman, they're just not going to be able to cut it against a defense like this.
Carl, I'm actually going to go next if you don't mind. I'm going to take the 49ers +2 also. Like you, Drew, I'm surprised they're not favorites, especially after they lost to the Broncos when the only scorer they had was Brandon McManus, so their kicker scored all the points. Mm. And, like, the Patriots offense couldn't even beat a kicker, Especially, You're right, the 49ers against the Rams, that was kind of a shocker for me, and I think it was a bounce-back game for them. So I'm taking the 49ers, especially because they got to kind of figure some things out for the Patriots too. Carl?
Yeah, San Fran's going to win this. It's going to be a close game, I think, but Niners are going to pull out.
All right, next we got the Chiefs and the Broncos. Broncos getting +9.5. Carl, I want you to go first.
I'm going to take Kansas City and -9.5. I just think Kansas City is OP. Are they gonna have Le'Veon Bell for this game?
I don't know if he'll be at full capacity, but you would think he'd be out there at least a little bit.
And I've read that they're not gonna have him take up Eclair's touches at running back. Yeah. So I think they're gonna have him run at wide receiver. So I think that's even more of a threat for against Denver. So I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to take Kansas City too. I just think there's no, like when you think about a game and break it down, like how would Denver be able to beat Kansas City? Like in what way would that have to happen? I don't think there's a possible way that they could beat them.
We're not really talking about beating either. You don't think they can keep it within 10 points?
No, not at all. They didn't even score a touchdown last week.
Yeah.
If you don't score a touchdown against Kansas City, you're not keeping it within 9.5.
But the defense, when it was able to stop Cam Newton, Cam Newton's a dual threat quarterback.
Kansas City's defense is not as bad as people think it is. Their defensive line is actually really good.
I'm talking about the Broncos defense right now. They were able to stop Bill Belichick and Cam Newton.
Well, that's also Cam Newton with no weapons. If Cam had weapons, it would have been a better game. Who on Denver is going to stop Travis Kelce? Yeah,
probably no one.
You think they're going to have Bradley Chubb line up with him? No.
You guys are kind of talking me into this one. All right, I'll take the Broncos plus 9.5.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys put up a compelling case, but all right. 3 more games here, only 2 for me and Drew. And we'll let Carl pick the last one. Drew and I will be back later this week, probably a Friday night or Saturday morning episode talking about the Bears-Rams, so you can get a little teaser for that. But before all that, we have the Jaguars getting 7.5 against the Chargers. I'm gonna start.
All right.
Last week I really hyped up the Jaguars. I even put on my glass.
Last 2 weeks you hyped them up.
Yeah, you feel like they should be due after I picked them the past 2 weeks and they let me down, but I just can't do it. I'm going to pick the Chargers plus minus 7.5. They finally have a favorable matchup for them, and I think Herbert is just so good. So I think the Chargers will cover. Carl?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to cover it. I love Minshew, but it's not gonna happen.
True.
Yeah, I'm going with you guys. I think the Chargers, I don't think their record accurately shows how good of a team they are, because all the games they've lost have been against good teams, and it's been really close. And I think if it wasn't last week, I feel like this is really going to be Justin Herbert's coming out party, where he's just going to show everyone that he is one of the future best quarterbacks in this league.
They should have beat Kansas City that 1 week.
And the Saints just last week as well. They probably should have won that game.
All right. Next, we got the Buccaneers, Raiders. Raiders getting 3.5. This is your Sunday night football game. It's a good game. Not going to complain. But after this, some of these games are not great. But this is a good game.
I haven't even been looking. This is tough because the Raiders, we've seen them this year play really good against good teams. They beat Kansas City, and they beat someone else good. I can't remember who it was, but someone good. I think it might have been the Saints, but don't quote me on that. That being said,
they did. That was like
it was the Saints.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the Raiders could cover the 3.5. Usually, I don't like taking underdogs with this little points because you think the better team would win by at least a little bit more than this, but I think the Raiders are going to keep it close, and I think this is going to come down to the wire this game. Maybe a game-winning drive from one of these quarterbacks or something like that, but I like Las Vegas to cover.
Carl, this is your supposed second team in the the Las Vegas Raiders. So tell me what you think about them going up against the GOAT.
Well, let me just start off with this. Tom Brady's going to lose on 2 consecutive primetime games. Las Vegas Raiders are going to beat Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow.
I like what you guys are saying. I think the Raiders have a good going for them this year. I think that they're better than you would think. There was talks before the season, is Derek Carr even the guy? But their offense goes out there and just lights people up, even some of the best teams in the league. So I'm going to take the 3.5 from the Raiders as well.
Can I add something?
Sure.
Everyone has been talking about this cliff that eventually Tom Brady's going to fall off of. It's happening. It started with the Bears. It's going to continue with the Raiders.
Wow. So he's like 1.5 feet over the cliff is what you're saying.
Yeah. After not this game, but the week after, if he's trash again, something's going to happen. He's going to go with an injury. or something like that, and his season's going to be over.
Giving the Raiders defense a lot of credit. A lot of credit. All right, Carl. Let's hear what you have to think with this Monday night matchup. Bears, Rams, a disrespectful Bears +6. That's just disrespectful. But
Man, you should not give them this many points. They're going to win straight out. They're going to beat the Rams just like they did in 2018 on Monday night? It was also Monday Night Football, right?
Sunday Night Football.
Monday Night Football. They're going to beat them, and it's going to be a close game. Aaron Donald's going to get his stuff in, but Khalil Mack's going to get his too. It's going to be a slugfest, but the Bears are going to come out on top in the 10th round and just stop.
I was confused for a second.
Yeah, I thought this is a UFC preview all of a sudden.
But yeah, the Bears, Nick Foles was fired up after the last game. He's going to be fired up after this game. Club Dub's going to be open for business. Tyreek Cohen's going to be celebrating on his one leg.
Tyreek Cohen.
I
I don't even think he's around the team.
He's going to be celebrating wherever he is. And it's Club Dub, man. It's going to be open.
Just an interesting note about this game. This is their third straight primetime matchup. They were on Sunday Night Football back-to-back. And the series, if you want to call it from 2018 to now, is 1-1. So really good matchup. No, makes sense that the NFL would put this in primetime because it's two huge markets and, well, two huge cities, maybe not football markets, and Bears and Rams. So
two good teams, too. Two of the best teams in the NFC.
Absolutely.
I feel like Montgomery's going to have a big game, too, because the Bears' run game has been atrocious. It's not been good. They've been having to throw screen passes just to get separation. So I think they're going to break out a little bit. I'm not saying like 150 yards from Montgomery, but I'm hoping in the 80s or 90s or something, maybe a touchdown.
All right, real quick here before we head out, I got my can't lose parlay of the week. I got the Panthers plus 20.5, the Bills to win, Steelers plus 14, Bears plus 19. I'll win you $38. And then here, if you want to just throw like $10 on this, take the Bears money line, Panthers plus 7, Detroit money line. You can win over $100. You gotta like that. Those are my bet advice for the week. All right, guys. Any closing thoughts?
Just make sure you're checking in later this week for our pregame prediction. But other than that, no, not really. Thanks for coming on, Carl. Anything you want to say?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I enjoyed this. Hopefully I can come back in a couple.
Yeah, next time you come back, that flag in the back better be gone, though. That's the one rule.
Oh, no, it's going to stay up. I'll fly it next time. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Carl. Been nice talking some football with you guys.